Week, right? There's the recap notes from Monday. Remember that you need to. I post this linked on Facebook already. So the lecture is here. You see that the style how to think from outside in, right? As a test-driven developer, what you should think about is not how to always write code like that. No, you should try to write code with tests. How to use tests to make you faster. Sometimes when you write some code that you think the logic is very complicated, some people prefer to write tests first and then write code. But sometimes if you every time you have to set up test code, it makes you slower. So it's something you practice, and then over time, when you have a few years of experience, you decide when it feels faster to do test driven first, and then when it's not. Sometimes it's okay. You understand the framework quite well. It's okay to skip. And then when you have like 10 years of experience, you will always write test first. But because it requires so much experience to be able to write really good tests, and there's no way I can teach all of that. Writing good tests is like test a little bit here and then write all this fake code to make it pass, and then you go back to the test, and then you create this cycle that make you code without having to think too much, right? It always turns out to be correct, and then you can optimize. You can go to the whiteboard and have a better algorithm. So, but it's okay. This Rails framework really help us improve as a test developer guy. So let's try. Don't forget the project brainstorming spreadsheet, and ask questions if you're not clear about the project. Yeah. The goal is, you guys already see the form. You actually, I don't know if you guys have access. There will be a link that is called group formation, and then you will take that, but I'll give you the link. Okay, for today, it's important to understand RSpec as you do lab. You've done lab 1 and 2, right? And you know just how important it is to take the lab very seriously. It saves you a lot of time. Because I walk around, TAs, where are they? You can ask anything. Now, what you should, I will walk you through a little bit. You're going to download a repo which already has RSpec set up, and in your homework is also RSpec set up. But setting up RSpec is really easy, and I encourage you to check out the documentation. This is a good habit. Anything, if you learn a new technology, you just type this kind of thing in, right? RSpec documentation. There is a problem. If you go to rspec.info, it looks nice, but it's not the right place. Why? Did someone guess? It's really beautiful. You can check in some places, and then, well, turns out the documentation is not exactly up to date. So this is good. It's now, you see 3.5. This is up to date here, and it's there's a different platform. They also post RSpec. It's called Relish. So that's the second link. So you guys can check that one out. Last time I checked this one, it seemed out of date, but now it seems a little bit better. But it's still quite not easy to use, and I run into out-of-date information all the time. So what you recognize is this Relish app thing. Let me try. Go back to the search. Where did I search it? Oh, up here, right? All right, this one. Relish is just, it hosts documentation for many other tools and library. You will see Cucumber on it. Cucumber is like an integration test library that works with RSpec usually, but that would be too much to learn, so don't worry about it. I actually don't like it here, right? But so after having used it, it's just too much. So just pay attention. Whenever you see RSpec 2, that's not what you're learning. You're learning RSpec 3. So the syntax is different. You see juice version here, right? Now when we go, most of the time is RSpec Rails. Yeah? RSpec, they started out as just a Rails project for Rails, and then they extracted out core and all these things, so it can work for Ruby library and stuff. So this is Ruby doc page, which is not what I like either, but it all works out the same. This is from their GitHub repository itself. They write code, but with enough documentation, it shows up like this. And you see, installing RSpec, you just need to put RSpec Rails, and then run RSpec Rails generate RSpec install. I already covered this in class, so when you look at a project, just think about these core concepts. And then think about, when you write tests, think about matchers, right? Expect in any test there's a describe block, so it will it will always run into some just Rails 5, Rails 4, and all that. Just let me skip that. This is something you will need to use every day, right? Expect just called matchers, and you see there's always a space here, .2, and then there's space. So you can use some of these fancy one. The most common one is, what is it? EQ, right? EQ is equal. There are different kind of equality comparison, but that's the most common one. But routes is route 2, right? And if you don't want to set it to route 2 or anything, you can use routable. But sometimes in a response, you can test a page by saying redirect to. Or you can test a view by saying, oh, this view must render this partial. So you haven't written tests, but just looking at these matchers, it gives you ideas how to write tests, right? This is interesting. It's just English, but to expect something to be a new widget is just what? It's an instance of widget, right? Like, oh, it should return something like widget.new. Documentation is a bit all over the place. This is Ruby doc. It links there. I'm a bit surprised. Let me see. Out here, there must be, maybe I click on core. Why are they going all to Ruby docs now? This is weird. It's so stupid. Like, look, I can click on that one and then it goes there. But here's this Relish app is quite nice. You can actually search for for things here. So I choose RSpec on the left. Let me see. Sorry, it's a little slow. Go back. Okay, let's say RSpec Rails here. Okay. Again, same concept, but don't be afraid when you go to things like model spec, controller spec. That's a good place to start, right? And by the end of today, you should understand that all the spec files start with Rails require Rails helper, then describe, and then a class, and then sort of this one's just generated for you, so you don't have to worry. Model is model, type is model. You only need to worry about the block inside here, okay? One thing to notice is you see the word context. It's like grouping your tests together. It's the same as the word describe, just by itself. Very different from this RSpec.describe, okay? So this context and then something, and inside you have a bunch of big blocks. Each of that is a test case. But when do we use context? When do we use describe? If you context, you give it explanation, like situation. For example, context, when I have more than 2 comments, when I have some data, right? Describe is that I group things under a method. Like I want to test the method upcoming, so I say describe.upcoming, and inside that I have many contexts, right? Which is the context that I have only 1 event, or I have 0 event, but if for one context you only have 1 test case, then you can forget about the context, right? So it's up to you. A lot of times I don't use context and I just go straight and test each method, and I use describe. Makes sense, right? You never have RSpec.describe and then in there directly you have it, because what are you testing? Group it under something. That one's clear, right? Yeah. Now remember when I export the HTML file, you'll see they group like that. It's in that hierarchy. You can play it, play with it in this lab, and remember RSpec format HTML, and then save it to pipe it to an HTML file. Okay, and there's a bit of confusion. Things are not clear. When should you use controller spec? When to use request spec? When to use feature spec? Especially with request and feature seem very similar. Just play with it. It won't make sense if I explain it now. So the other helpers are not as useful, but you can write tests for any of these. Remember the flash messages thing? Maybe you can write a flash message. It's a helper, right? Then you can write that as a helper spec. So for anything, there's a spec. Same directory structure. Right? For RSpec, it will give you Rails G or generate RSpec colon model and type the model name. So that give you this RSpec colon RSpec space G space Rails generate RSpec colon controller, give you controller. So just play with these generator. Don't create a file from scratch if you're not sure. But some non-popular spec practice, right? Like I write the route spec myself last time, right? Because they don't have it, so you just type it by hand. But the structure is all the same. It's quite easy to read, right? So here it's like they don't show it, but the structure is the same. You just need to add the type of spec on the first line. Okay, so today the goal of this lab is for you guys to be very comfortable with different syntax we use in our spec. You download and then you will run. There are a lot of tests already. You see test failure. Decide when it fails, do I fix the test or do I fix the code? Well, it depends, right? So sometimes it's just there, a failing test, so you have an idea. Hey, go implement this test. So don't always make an exception. Oh, this failed, let's go fix the code. Well, it depends, yeah. Milestone 3, it helps you really, with this tool, just make it very easy to, I show you in class. So now, this is a very important milestone, so need you guys to focus. So if you don't do this milestone, then today is a waste. So because, it's, you go and implement similar to what I did with event.incoming, right? So should be easy. I expect all of you to finish this one. And then you get to play with a different syntax, right? All this visit and click link stuff, that's the capybara syntax. And then again, look at the documentation. All right, and there's some links here. Don't be afraid to check them out. If we will be happy if you finish this milestone. So let's aim for that. And this one is the case when sometimes writing tests first is more convenient. Imagine if you have a model and inside the model there are many different situations. Like here you have a product which is a hat, right? Is it on sale? Is it not? How much is discount? So what's the final price? So the final price is the method, right? But this method checks some properties. So you need to set up the context, and then you just write tests for them, and then you tweak your code until it's right. It saves you a lot of time instead of going to the terminal and a dot discount bound equal 10%, and then you go and test. Oh, it works, and then you change something else, and then you forget to test the 10% again. Here, you're learning to write once, and then it always tests whenever you run it. With that, let's do it. Find your pair.